Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. What's this, episode four?
Episode
Three?
4.
Four, dang. All right. Well, we got a lot in hand for today's episode, out of weirdly enough, because it's actually the middle of summer. It's June 16th, and we got a lot on the plate already, especially revolving football, which we're going to get into in just a minute here, with mini camp, a bunch of other NFL news, Twins, obviously. Gophers, College World Series. I know a lot of people are waiting on that. Well, of course, U.S. Open on it being there. Duh. Then, little local legend at the end, which we'll get to that later. So,
Can't
well,
wait to find out who you select.
well, it's a good one for you. Should we hop on into NFL minicamp?
Might as well. It's America's pastime now.
Let's do it. So, what are your big, I guess, impressions? And minicamp's tough to tell anything, obviously, because it's a lot of non-pads and not everybody shows up and stuff like that, but I mean, the cool thing for the Vikings is they have, I read somewhere they have almost every player under contract at the mini camp right now.
It's all you can ask for at minicamp. You want everybody to be there. You want to hear only good news out of minicamp, and that's all I've heard about JJ McCarthy during this minicamp.
hmm Yeah, I've heard nothing but great things about JJ during this mini camp. It seems like the team was really bought into him as the guy. I mean, you kind of had to get the feeling after not re-signing Sam Darnold that the team was going all in on him. And from the way it sounds, I mean, I'm a big,
Harrison Phillips,
yeah, Harrison Phillips. I'm a big Harrison Phillips guy. And the way it sounds is the whole team is defense really loves him. I mean, Phillips really loves him. And so, I mean, the whole team is really built coming around JJ. And I mean, I'm excited. I mean, obviously, I'm excited about, our young quarterback, but another person here that's healthy, Rondale Moore, the Boilermaker, tore his ACL last minicamp, I think it was, or was it fall camp? I can't remember. But they were saying he was gonna make the 52-man roster. And I remember him in college. He was a dude. And I think adding he might be someone that could come in and make a difference with how explosive he is out wide for the Vikings. He's probably a slot guy, but with Jordan Addison out those few games, he could be someone to watch here if he can stay healthy here.
for sure. It's, it's a good acquisition to have. He's a very skilled guy. Not necessarily has pretty good production in the NFL, but he was a problem at Purdue, and he would cause a lot of offenses fits while at Purdue, just with how skilled he was at the in the Big Ten, especially in the Big Ten West at the time.
Mhm.
He caused a lot of problems for teams, and Purdue had a good strength, few good wide receivers. He was probably the best among them. And it will be interesting to see how well he can fit into that offense. Obviously, JJ Justin Jefferson is going to get his catches. We got to make that distinction now.
Mhm.
Jordan Addison, when he comes back, when he's healthy, he's going to get his targets. Hawkinson, he's still part of this offense, and he's going to take probably a good chunk too of that offense. But Rondale Moore, I feel like has a different skill set than all of those guys, where he'll slot in nicely into that offense to be an even one more target for
Yeah,
McCarthy.
man, we're gonna have to start calling Jefferson and JJ different things. I don't know, we call him Jefferson Jettas. I don't know. It's always been JJ to me. So,
Yeah, I think he says he's Jettas in that locker room. So from here on out, he'll be Jay Jettas for the rest of us, and then he can just be JJ McCarthy and Jay Jettas. I don't want to play the drinking game on the JJ to JJ connections from Paul Allen this year. I don't think I'd make it through the season.
well, you kind of mentioned TJ Hawkinson there about, he's gonna get his targets. Another tight end the Vikings re-signed here, Josh Oliver. He really came on last year, especially with Hawkinson out, and he really proved himself. And I thought that was a big. Uh, this is probably one of the more underrated free agent signings or extensions, but this could be nice.
For sure, he's not necessarily your prototypical wide receiver one as a tight end, not in the Kelsey mold where he's going to be, but he is a run blocker and he's an elite run blocker at the tight end position. And that's where he makes his money. He did come onto the field. He had about 500 yards receiving, caught about 50 passes this year, and he played about half the snaps for the team. And he was a coach's dream to have at that tight end position. You never have to worry about him doing the wrong thing. He'll always do whatever you need him to do. And he didn't, they didn't break the bank for him. And they got him a nice little extension for him, 3 years, 23 up to 27.5 million. I feel like is pretty good market value for him, and he's gonna be in the prime of his career for those 3 years. He's only 27 years old, so you're getting him for his prime at a relatively cheap rate. I think that puts him in like 20th highest paid tight ends, right around that range. So it's not like we're putting a lot of money into that tight end position, but you don't break the bank for Josh Oliver either.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, the more and more we kind of talk about his extension, the more and more I'm a fan of it here. As, like you said, he was a coach's dream last year. I mean, tight ends that can block in the National Football League, they're going to stick around a while. I mean, those guys are, I mean, essentially six offensive linemen. And I mean, when you decide to go heavy and bring in an extra offensive lineman in there, you can have a guy like Josh Oliver uh, blocking with that. So you essentially have seven offensive linemen on the field in goal line situations. And he also, I mean, like you said, he had 50 plus receptions last year. So he's going to keep teams on his toes and or on their toes. And I'm really liking this extension here. Man, JJ's got JJ McCarthy has plenty of weapons right now. He really is being put into a good situation, and credit the Vikings player personnel department for making that happen. I mean, JJ McCarthy cannot be in a better situation right now, I feel, especially with a guy like Aaron Jones getting re-signed this offseason, a veteran back that can help JJ at the line of scrimmage, and he last I checked, he can still run the ball pretty well. So,
For sure, that's all you can ask for if you're a first year starter in the quarterback. He got his redshirt year, not really by his choice, but he got the redshirt year, got to see it behind Sam Darnold, the veteran quarterback who had really good results and could show him the process on how to get those results, how to be an NFL quarterback. Probably one of, if not the best tackle tandem in the NFL with
hmm
Darisaw and O'Neal. I'd be hard pressed to find too many others better than those two. An offensive minded head coach and Kevin O'Connell, the QB whisperer, and a pretty good interior too, offensive line. Some of the best weapons in the NFL. I don't know if you could ask for a better situation if you are a first round pick.
overall, great time to be a Vikings fan right now. So talking about fans, if I were a Bengals fan right now, I don't know what to think. I mean, I'm not a Bengals fan, but I mean, you catch us up a little bit on what's all happening down in Cincinnati right now, because it's just mayhem right now with everything going on there.
We talked about it earlier. Minicamp. What's the biggest thing? You want participation. You want your guys to be there, especially if there are veteran leaders of that team, like Trey Hendrickson is for that Bengals team. Is holding out, is on the last year of his contract for the Bengals, and I think they just restarted contract negotiations with him today. So there's been a long period where they weren't negotiating with him. Plus, he's the leading 17 and a half sacks the last 2 years. Last year leads the NFL in sacks. You are barely going into contract negotiations with him. Plus, you've paid all of these other guys around him, and it's just a bad look, in my opinion, to not offer a veteran leader for that team because he's been there for now 4 years. That wasn't was originally a Saint, signed with the Bengals, been there for 4 years. Has about 60 sacks with the Bengals, and he's just been a producer. And I think you'd want him around just to show the faith that you will keep him around and want to pay him. But you know what? I understand if you can't afford him, so be it. At least draft your first round pick, use it on a defensive lineman, and draft the next Trey Hendrickson. Except you can't get him to camp either because you're trying to screw him over with a contract clause, and he's not going to be the guinea pig for that contract.
Mm,
So they drafted out of Texas A&M Shamir Stewart to be a D lineman. Wasn't a super productive guy in college. Had decent stats, but it's not like he eye-popping stats. So
mm.
if he's a raw prospect and he was top prospect for that reason, not so you want to get him into minicamp, want to get him reps, but now you're going to put stuff in his contract. You're going to void years if he gets hurt, and that's just not normal. He doesn't want to be the guinea pig. He's expressed it. I don't know if you can blame him for that. And it's just there's a reason they call them the Bungles, and this is a very Bungles type situation out of them.
Looking back, I mean, it's crazy to think, what was it, 2, 3 years ago? The Bengals were in the freaking Super Bowl. And I mean, everybody kind of thought, man, they drafted Jamar Chase there. They have him and Joe Burrow. I mean, I really thought they were
Higgins,
going to be, I mean, I really thought them, the Bills, and uh, the Chiefs there were going to, that was going to be, the three, I guess the three horsemen of the National Football League, just because, and all in the same conference. I mean, that, I was thinking the AFC might be legit the next few years, but I mean, Bills and Chiefs are obviously still right there. I mean, the Bengals are still a great team. It's just it doesn't really seem like they're doing their fan base any favor with all this. They're not certainly not doing their players any favors with creating separation in the locker room, and it's just tough to see.
you just put so much money into Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase. Now you break off T. Higgins for a big contract, and some guys are going to get left out of the pie. And if it's time to move on from Trey Hendrickson, but if you could have allocated some of that money from T. Higgins, he's a great player, but it's hard to pay a wide receiver one and a quarterback one and a wide receiver two and a top flight defensive end.
Mhm.
And I think in my opinion, they did the priorities wrong, breaking off T. Higgins to that massive contract. And you could have left it more for that veteran leader, Trey Hendrickson. Because it's not like you're going to give him a long term contract. It's probably going to be 3, maybe 4 years till he gets to his mid 30s. Probably 30-ish million a year, maybe 35 at the high end. And I think you could have offered him that, but now you're in a tough situation where you can't pay everybody. And you alienated one of the defensive leaders to give even more money to that offense, to a guy who I don't think would be that much of a vocal leader for that team.
I mean, you kind of said it all there. That's why, what'd you call them? The bungalows or,
The Bungles.
yeah, the bungles. I mean, you
It's
said that's why they call them that. I mean,
yeah,
you said it all. You hit it on the nuts there.
I tried. I mean, it's the Bungles. I mean, when you're in the same state as the Browns and you're in that same level of who can be a worst NFL franchise,
Oh,
you have
all
problems.
right. That's a bit extreme. The Browns got a lot to fix, okay?
But
But
like, am I wrong to like they're in the conversation of that?
I mean, with the crap that's went on this offseason, I ha unfortunately kind of have to agree there. I mean, historically, I mean, the last 2 years, I would have said you're a nut show, you're a nut job. But I mean, state of Ohio right now in professional football, what is going on? Y'all
Yeah,
gotta fix it. I mean, I think there's a reason the Buckeyes have a better fan base than unfortunately both your pro teams.
yeah, because they actually win. And they hire elite staff around the guys and treat their players with respect. It's
Well, if we're gonna talk about Cincinnati, we might as well talk about Cincinnati Reds taking on our Minnesota Twins here, which that'll be going happen starting tomorrow here. The Twins will be hopping into a 3-game series with them. But Twins, as of late, we kind of talked about it last week. They're going to need to start, winning some of these bigger ball games. That isn't happening. It's just been a tough stretch here. I mean, Twins are still right around that 500 mark at 37, 35. It's just, I mean, dog days of summer right now. I mean, but we got to figure it out here.
yeah, I'm gonna put a slightly positive spin on this because yeah, it was a pretty bad week for the Twins, but I'll say the one bright spot I had for that was a well-placed David Festa start. He did really well for the Twins. And the one win we did get this week, he was able to go 6 innings, gave up 2 earned runs, 2 walks, 4 Ks, gave up 1 homer, only 3 hits through those 6 innings, and that was able to propel them to a good to the one win we had this week over the Rangers. And
Mhm.
he's going to go tomorrow, Tuesday night. Then he's going to go back again Sunday. So I'm hoping to see that continuation of the growth as he's able to step up into this bigger role with Zebby Matthews out, with Pablo Lopez out, taking his spot in the rotation and being able to give Twins a good shot to win his starts.
Oh yeah, excuse me by the way on the record there. The Twins are 36 and 35. And Cincinnati is 37 and 35 currently. But I don't know, Twins,
You were just given tomorrow's record.
yeah, let's hope for that anyways. Twins though, rough road trip down in Texas, unfortunately. Still in, and like you said, David Festa was the winning pitcher in that game in Tech at the Rangers. But on that road trip, 1-5. That little Texas road trip. I don't know, man.
That's
Getting swept by the Astros, losing to the Rangers, and those games they lost the Rangers. They weren't pretty.
No, for sure not. It was we were filming one episode during the first loss. It was ugly, and the second loss was just a little bit prettier, but not by much. We only gave up 10 runs instead of 16. And they just that wasn't like we had too many blowout losses versus Houston. We just couldn't hold on, and we saw Juan Duran kind of falter a little bit during that Houston series. He had 2 appearances there, gave up an earned run in each of them, and they were kind of big earned runs. One in the bottom of the ninth to walk it off for him while we were tied, and the second one we were up 1-0. We bring him in, shut it down in the ninth, at least salvage a win, and he ends up giving a run in the ninth, and then they score again in the 10th. So I'd like to see him have a bounce back week against a couple of NL Central foes.
Yeah, I mean, as we kind of look into the two series this week against the Reds, and we'll be back at home for for a homestand against the Brewers and Mariners here, and these really are big series here. These next three are really big series with, and obviously, Reds, Brewers, and Mariners. I feel like, this stretch here could make or break the season right here. I mean, three teams all around the 500 range. I feel like we need to take at least two of these series here to really reestablish ourselves as a competitive team right now. I mean, 1-5 on a road trip in Texas, when you have aspirations of winning a division title, that isn't going to do it. We really we got to take at least two of these three series here, and in the series we don't win, I feel like we got to win one of those three. We can't get swept there. So
For sure. And it's especially important when we play a Seattle team where they're in that third wild card spot. We're a half game back of their third wild card spot. And that's an important series. Like that's gonna when it comes to October, September baseball, you want to win that series. You want to be have that series, especially when we have lost the series previously to them. You want to have that tiebreaker. You want to have or even knock them out so you're back into that spot to knock them out of that perch to take their spot and hopefully climb up and maybe even catch Detroit. But I
Mhm.
would focus on one game at a time, and it's interesting how they respond to NL teams, to AL teams. Now less pressure, less likely to need a tiebreaker. Not saying they don't count, but you're not going to have a tiebreaker against too many NL teams.
Right.
So it'll be interesting if they can bounce back with a little bit lack of pressure and maybe less quality teams like a Houston Astros team.
So yeah, yeah, I mean, I haven't been following the Twins too closely here. I mean, I've been looking at the scores, but is there anything huge going on? And unfortunately, I've just been so busy with other things going on. I mean, we had a tornado in town I live in today, so
Yeah, his town had 3 touchdowns, which is about an Iowa football season. So
ooh,
it's,
shots fired, Hawkeye Nation.
but yeah, no, I think it's interesting. Something I find interesting and something I want to see in the next coming weeks is the last time the Twins lost 4 straight. It was earlier in early May. The next 13 games, the Twins won all 13 after the 4 game losing streak. Cody Clemens went into Fenway in front of his parents, hit a go ahead home run, and kind of sparked the Twins rally. And I think they'd need, I'd like to see something like that from them again to kickstart this season once again.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate, that we might have to lose 4 games to, win 13. But if it needs to be done, it needs to be done, man. I mean, long season. You're never gonna say no to winning 13 games in a
No,
row, especially.
no, exactly not. And the Rockies might call that a season. 13 wins.
How many wins they got right now?
They are up actually up to 15. I feel a little bad, but yeah, they got a little hot. Yeah,
Oh,
they're still not very good. They only have 15 wins.
they won tonight though. Hey,
Yeah, I mean they're still 8 behind last place, second to
oh,
last place. So yeah, I mean the White Sox, they might be lower than the White Sox last year. So that will be their pennant race if they can get above the White Sox record last year.
well, they won yesterday. They won today. In the great words of Lou Brown, if we win tomorrow, and it's called a winning streak. It has happened before.
I love that quote. It's that entire movie just brings a good chuckle to me every time. And I've played that clip before when times have gotten tough.
Yeah, I hear you. But hey, looking at the Rockies here, going back to last week, hey, they've won 3 ball games since last Thursday. Shout out them, doing good things, figuring it out in dog days of summer. Hey, that's more wins in the last week than our Twins. So, I mean, unfortunately, but
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it shows to go how good of a week the Twins have when you said the Rockies have a better week than them. And I
yeah.
think that's just shows to go. And I don't think they want another Rockies week next week. And I think they're good enough to bounce back and have one, if not two, series wins here in the next week.
All right. Well, you got anything else regarding MLB here?
I don't know. I think it's going to be tough for them to catch the Tigers, have the best record in baseball, but
Mm.
I don't know. I just want to see them win a few games, and we'll see how they go from there.
Well, jumping from MLB to go for football here, as the GM in the movie Little Big League used to say, man, Commissioner, it's already April and people are already talking about go for football. So we're gonna talk a little go for football here, and Gophers have been on the recruiting trail hot here as of recently. Currently have the number 14 team in the country according to 24/7 Sports, and my guy Ryan Burns down in the Twin Cities. But I mean, I know it's early. It's easy to get our hopes up. Seems like every year around this time, oh my God, we're number 10 in the country because, all the, SEC schools and, a lot of the other schools haven't filled out their recruiting classes yet. The Gophers seem to always get a big chunk of kids in June and July here. So, but, getting kids committed early, but Gophers have been on a little hot trail this past few weeks. As we've had a number of commits here. Uh, This past weekend, we had, I want to say there was 15 recruits on campus in the Twin Cities for the Summer Splash Weekend 2.0. Gophers, I believe they got around 6 or 7 commits out of this past weekend. So that's huge. A couple that I kind of noted from this past weekend is West Bloomfield, Michigan, being able to get uh, named Jeremiah Benson, being able to go into another Big Ten team's backyard, or I guess a couple of them, when Michigan and Michigan State would get a D line commit out of there is gonna be big. You know, Big Ten, it's Big Ten country over there. Being able to get, a big 6'3", 265-pound interior D lineman out of there, it's super raw. You know, he'll be a difference maker in a few years once he gets in the Gopher weight room and develops. And another guy that really kind of stood out to me, the Gophers have had a lot of luck this offseason recruiting offensive line here. And this guy fits the mold even more. From Akron, Ohio, is Lucas Teal Sash or something like that. It's 6'7", 300-pound offensive tackle. I mean, he's a dude. Man, has multiple Power Five offers. Going to be a big time player for the Gophers in the future. I want to say we have seven old linemen committed right now, or six or seven, and they're all pretty highly rated too. So this is shout out to Coach Callahan and getting the boys ready to go. And the Gophers have had some great old linemen these past few years, and had a lot of luck in NFL draft here. So, but arguably the most notable though for especially Big Ten football fans, Gophers got the number one player out of Wisconsin here. This was actually a few months ago, but Gavin Meyer out of Janesville, Wisconsin, number one rated player in that state, offensive tackle. That is a big win for Gopher fans, obviously. But Wisconsin always kind of dominated the Gophers because they have these homegrown, Wisconsin, cheese-fed boys that are gonna run through you for 4 quarters in a row. But being able to get him, and last year we also got number two player out of Wisconsin, four-star offensive tackle Benjamin Roy to come to the Gophers. We stole him from the Badgers last year as well. So Coach Callahan maybe creating a little pipeline for Wisconsin old linemen here. So that's nice to see. And top of our class is highlighted by two Minnesota kids right now, and Howie Johnson from Forest Lake, who is a dog, and Andrew Trump from Corey High School. I used to play Andrew, or yeah, Andrew, my senior year of high school. He was a freshman, and he was one mammoth freaking human being.
And I think, what did you say? We're 14th right now in the nation?
Yep.
And that's not including two of the better Minnesota prospects, depending on where you're looking at, one or two. Like, for sure in that top three, Andrew's in there, Howie's in there, top four. Depending where you go, pretty interchangeable. Roman Voss, pretty undisputed number one.
Yeah,
He's athlete right now. He's deciding between the Gophers
and Alabama.
and Alabama.
Yeah, he was on his official to Alabama this past weekend. I believe that he has his official coming up with the Gophers here soon, or that might have been last weekend. Yeah, I think that was last weekend. But man, if the Gophers can get him, that might. And he's a big time athlete. Small school kid. So I mean, he plays quarterback for Jackson County Central right now. Get him in, the tight end room, D end room, whatever you want him to play. He's gonna develop. He's gonna become a big time ball player.
For sure, I'm sure. That's the one where you send the house in NCAA 25. He's a send the house prospect, and when you can get into a top two in a prospect like that, you especially a homegrown one like that, and it's no other Midwest schools, which I think will help a little bit. I was a little surprised not to see Iowa in that contention.
Mhm.
Definitely not going to complain about that, but I would think he'd want to keep that. But if he wants to come to Minnesota, I'd gladly take him.
Mhm. Yeah,
And
uh, since we're gonna talk about him a little bit, I uh, I was a little surprised to see Iowa State or Nebraska in there, not in there as well. Jackson County Central, it's about 5 minutes from the Minnesota-Iowa border, or Jackson, Minnesota is, and I mean, I-35 and I mean to Ames is not a bad drive at all for from Jackson there. I mean, don't even really take 35, but and that might be just as that might be the closest freaking drive for him to another Power Five program here. And I mean, Iowa's not far away either. Lincoln, Nebraska either. I know with Matt Rule, I would have thought he would have recruited him heavier just because he always has he's always pretty heavy into that Midwestern kid recruiting, but and it's nice to see, the Gophers really applying a lot of pressure to him. I think a lot of it with Alabama is the Kalen DeBoer effect type of stuff, and I'm hoping the Gophers can edge him out here. So,
Oh, for sure, and that is important, and we probably shouldn't give him any more ideas on which schools to go to besides the Gophers.
mm,
And it's not even him, just as an athlete. You got the Pierce Peterson from Triton, Minnesota.
yeah, Peterson, another small school athlete that know is really kind of rising up the ranks as he goes to more camps this summer, and schools are starting to take notice. And it's cool to see the Gophers are probably sending in the house for him again. Like, super raw prospect. Um, you know, I eh, I'll be honest, him and Voss, if they're not from Minnesota, they're probably they're probably, I mean, five-star kids. Let's be completely honest. I mean, Minnesota doesn't have the greatest reputation of being a great recruiting state. I mean, you look at, I mean, yeah, but
Oh,
it sounds like he's kind of down in Minnesota and Penn State right now, which with Peter's own. So I'm hoping the Gophers can end up stealing him as well. That'd be a really big pickup for us. And you know, Gophers has been seeming to have a lot of luck with local kids as of recently. So
no, exactly, and that was Fleck's big selling point when he got here was building that wall around Minnesota. Because what is Fleck's current streak of getting the top prospect in Minnesota?
so I want to say we're at two or three to row right now. Um,
And we're gonna give him Jackson Howard. He came here after a year.
yep,
We'll give him that.
I'll give him that. I will definitely give him that.
Yeah.
See, you got Coy Parrott,
And he wasn't any good, was he?
right? Well, in last year's recruiting class, we got the top three with Emmanuel Carmel from Cooper, four-star kid, Ethan Stendel, Caledonia, number two player. I compare him and Peterson to each other a lot. Two small school kids. They actually played each other last year, and was a very, very good football game. I was uh, in tune to that one. So, and yeah, then we also got a kid out of Osseo from Heritage Christian Academy, Abu uh, Torwale, a D lineman. So, I mean, top three kids last year, and let's go at 2024. Obviously, Coy Parrish. I mean, I don't know if there's enough you can say much more there. I
That
mean,
that wall around Minnesota is getting less and less leaks, and that's a very promising sign if you are a Gophers fan.
and yeah, I mean, look at 2023. You said involved. We keep Jackson Howard here, and he left for a year, came back, and I'd say we kept that wall around Minnesota there. I mean, but then think about it. We also got the top three players below him in the rankings too, though, in that class. So that's going 3 years in a row there. So.
Yeah, I mean, once we're past the eras of the Joe Alts, the Bryce Benharts, he has had a really good track record of recruiting in-state in Minnesota.
Mhm. But yeah, but then it's like you look at the year of Bryce Benhart, no shame to him, he was a four-year starter for Nebraska, but did he pan out the way a lot of people thought he would? And he wasn't, this unruly NFL draft. He wasn't this NFL draft prospect that scouts were drooling over. I honestly thought, 'cause he was the same draft class or recruiting class as Quentin Carroll. And Quentin Carroll ended up coming back to the Gophers after going to Notre Dame. So I thought that that was really cool for the Gophers to get him to come back, and he was also obviously a big contributor on the O-line these past few years. So
For sure, and it's not giving up on guys once you lose the initial recruiting battle because the way college football is, there might be another recruiting battle. And if you can
mhm,
also win that one, can you win the war?
mhm. Yeah, then I mean even going back to 2019 Gopher teams, I mean look at some of the best players on those teams. 2018, Blake Cashman out of Eden Prairie. 2019, Tyler Johnson out of Minneapolis North. I mean, yeah, also 2019, Carter Coughlin out of Eden Prairie. I mean, these kids are, these local Minnesota kids are coming here. They can be as high rated as they want. Carter Coughlin was a 4-star. He developed tremendously here and made himself into a very good player. Obviously, still playing in the NFL. And I mean, you look at Blake Cashman. He was a walk-on safety, and he developed. And I mean, he's in what, year 7 in the NFL right now, playing for his hometown team. I mean. Now that's kind of yeah, walk on safety to coming out of high school, turn into a what's he playing? What do you play? Mike linebacker senior year, all conference, and so the development here at Minnesota is under Coach Fleck especially has been something you can't deny.
No, exactly, and it's what makes the Gophers important, and that's what is important is being able to recruit your homegrown guys and being able to retain them.
Well, should we jump ships from college football or to college baseball? Talking about the Men's College World Series last episode. It's underway now. They're actually in a rain delay right now in Omaha with I can't remember which game that was here. I said,
UCLA and LSU, and I think the biggest fans of this rain delay is Rocco's Bar. Sell even more Jello shots, and Dalton. I think we hit the nail on the head when we said LSU would win this challenge.
yeah,
Uh, Noon today, they had 13,789 Jello shots purchased. The next closest I see is 6,600. So I'm gonna say LSU has comfortable lead in that. But you know what? Murray State, second place.
but Murray State, their tournament is unfortunately done.
Yeah. The the Racers made a quick work of Omaha, but I feel like next year, even a month from now, they're gonna be glad they made it to Omaha. And Dalton, I'll say this: your pick on the bracket one, 2-0. Bracket two, 1-0, currently in a rain delay. So
Hey, we got good taste.
yeah, you're very much in the driver's seat of this. Your Chanticleers, as their coach made it very clear today, the Chanticleers beat Oregon State yesterday. I mean, Oregon State, they put up a heck of a fight. Round one, they had a great game. They led for most of it, gave up 2 runs in the ninth inning, but were able to hit a walk-off double in the ninth to beat Louisville. And I want to give a special shout out to West, Louisville pitcher. He comes in, bases loaded, jam. His team's already down one. He's got to stop the bleeding. Forces a ground ball. Looks like it potentially is a double play. Louisville boots it, allows one of the runs to score, but he doesn't get discouraged. Locks down the next two hitters, is able to keep them within the game, give them a shot to come back in the ninth, and then unfortunately just couldn't keep Oregon State off the board forever.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, this College World Series has lived up to the hype, I'd say, at this point. I mean, it's only a few days in here, but there has been some tremendous baseball games, lots of late inning, magic here. This is what college baseball is all about. We talk about it all the time, and this is what makes Omaha so special. And certainly living up to the hype right now. So
For sure, and we haven't even talked about the no-hitter that was thrown today.
exactly.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Murray State was on or sorry, yeah, it was Murray State.
Yeah, Murray State was unfortunately on the losing side. But Dalton, is this a good stat line? 9 innings pitched, 0 hits, 0 runs, 0 earned runs, 0 walks, 19 Ks. Fortunately, it wasn't a perfect game. He hit one batter.
Ooh,
Couldn't give him the perfect game. I'm sure he's gonna beat himself over that. He seemed a little disappointed he hit a guy, but I think that's a big time performance in a big time game
yeah.
because that was the
Uh,
Razorbacks in an elimination game, my national championship pick. So I kind of needed them to pull through this one, and they delivered big time.
yeah, I would say so myself. But I mean, that's stuff I mean, you never, growing up as a kid, you never dream yourself being in an elimination game, obviously. But that's stuff you dream about is Man, how cool would it be to be an elimination game in Omaha, throwing no hitter out there? But and you obviously don't want to, you don't dream about hitting a guy either. But
No, no, it's yeah.
still, though, that's something that's something that'll stick out for many people. That'll stick out in the Arkansas program forever. You
Yeah.
know, I'm not sure how many no-hitters there's been, in College World Series history. I'm assuming very few, but
This is only the third no-hitter in men's college World Series history.
wow.
Yeah, so that you don't see this all too often, and that's just exceptional pitching. And I'm sure he was very proud of his performance today, even though he did hit one guy.
Yeah. And you look at it, 119 pitches, 83 strikes.
Pounding the zone.
Getting going to work, 19 Ks. I mean, you can't ask for much more. And and kudos to the manager for Arkansas too for letting them finish that thing. You know, we were talking a few weeks ago about analytics getting in the way of baseball. I like this manager. No, it's screw analytics. He's throwing a freaking no-hitter right now. Let's let him roll.
You see that a lot more in college baseball, where they'll let their pitchers roll. I just saw a clip of Skeens the other day, pumping 100 on his 124th pitch of the game. Stanford last year during the Super Regionals, their pitcher during game two threw 156 pitches.
Lord.
Yeah, so it's managers trusting their pitchers and not knowing they and saving their bullpen because you have to save your bullpen. You want to keep those guys as fresh as possible, have them still have their A stuff going in throughout because this Wood obviously had his A stuff going throughout the entire day, so you're not gonna take him out and trust in him and make him hit him, especially with you 3-run lead in the seventh, eighth, and ninth innings. You have a little margin for error too. It might have been a little different decision. Say it's 1-0, but 3-0. You have a little bit more margin of error to let him complete that no hitter.
Yeah. Knock knock MLB. Start watching some more college. It's a lot more fun for us fans. So shout out and college baseball, man. Gotta love it.
Oh, for sure, and it's what everybody loves about baseball, and it's those players doing what is best for the team. And the guy for and the all the people complaining about the Stanford pitching throwing all those pitches, he was like, "Hey, I needed to do what I could to help my team win," and that's what he needed to do, and that's just a great mindset to have. And hopefully, more college player pitchers can have that mindset.
Mhm. All right. You got any other comments on the College World Series right now? I mean, you know, unfortunately, there's been a few teams here eliminated, but and been some really great baseball games. Um,
I guess it's just rain, rain, go away. I want to watch some more baseball.
and that's the truth. I mean, to keep everyone updated, the current teams that have been eliminated are unfortunately Arizona and Murray State as of now with World Series, so no shame. But both those teams will be back and go Coastal Carolina.
Gotta Yeah, go Coastal. I mean, I'm still pulling for my
You're still alive though, yeah, you're
Diamondbacks.
still
I'm
alive.
still alive. No hitters, baby. It's because yeah, I mean, you're especially if LSU wins today, you're in prime position to have a pretty good predictions for this college men's college World Series.
Mm. Yeah, and the way it sounds is the way it's looking anyway is it's either going to be an extremely late night here or they're going to resume play here tomorrow as they're in the top of the fourth inning right now. LSU currently leads 5-3 on top of UCLA. You said rain, rain, go away, so we can watch more baseball, but maybe some more baseball tomorrow. Tomorrow's my day off from work, so I won't complain for extra baseball tomorrow.
No, exactly not. And hopefully, hope I'm sure they have plans in place to make sure the field is playable when that rain goes away and you don't have to let it dry out at all. We had an excellent US Open this weekend. My one comment is the course definitely won. We had the winner, JJ Spawn, was the only player under par. He was one under par and needed a 65-foot birdie putt on 18 to do it.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, one of the better putts you'll ever see. I mean, he had two to work with, but he called a shot and won, and just impressive. And you don't see a lot of golf tournaments where one person's under par, and you could definitely see it throughout players' reactions throughout that weekend that they were just frustrated with the conditions at Oakmont, and it's what the USGA wants. Maybe not some of the reactions that they got. Rory McIlroy destroyed a tee box marker at 17. I don't think they want stuff like that happening, but they want to make the golfers feel those reactions.
You know, in my opinion, the best part about these golfers, destroying things, throwing clubs, you know, it just proves that they're just like us too. You know, when they might not, be packing lips and spitting on the course like some people, but they still get pissed like we do. They still, I mean, you're gonna show emotion obviously because you play golf for a living. I mean, we show emotion when we do for freaking fun, and but
No, exactly. And then your hero, Wyndham Clark, he we mentioned him a little bit. He let his emotions get the best of him during our week one episode, and he was back at it this weekend, destroyed a couple lockers at Oakmont Country Club, and some golfers were up in arms about it. Some golf fans were up in arms about it. Dalton, how do you feel as a someone who doesn't watch a lot of golf?
I'm in favor. Make golf more entertaining. This is the stuff that's gonna get more fans to watch golf is seeing guys, be just like them. You know, some guys, they're out in the course, they're drinking, they're pounding beers, they're blasting music. Well, let's get one of them guys on the tour and
For sure. And like I think it's between that fine line, it's I don't know. I don't know if I want them necessarily destroying stuff.
right.
To
I
like that's kind of the fine line where you like I have no problem with them showing emotion, but it's also too, do I want them breaking stuff? Not necessarily, especially like the lockers, like those look older and they've been like historic and nice tee box markers, destroying that. I don't know. But then Rory, after the round, they asked him Saturday what was his goal for Sunday. He's kind of out of contention, wasn't gonna win it, knew he wasn't gonna win it, and he just said, "Hopefully, I can play around in 4.5 hours and get out of here." And I don't know, and it's like it's kind of interesting how he has just been on the decline after achieving his last career goal, wins the Masters, completes the career Grand Slam, and it's just kind of been all downhill from there. He's had controversy with his drivers, hasn't had two great showings at the next two majors, and it's almost you almost wonder like what is next for him.
mhm. Yeah, I mean, well, kind of going back to, kind of destroy with all the destroying stuff. I mean, you also need to realize, I mean, these guys are professionals. As an athlete, you are a professional. You need to keep it professional. You need to act like a pro out there. But with Rory, you, you, I feel like you see a lot of times in other sports as well. Veterans kind of complete, what they were longing for, and they come out and they're flat in the next few games. And I mean, unfortunately for Rory, it's been next few rounds and or like next few events, so that's tough for him. But hopefully he can figure it out here. Regardless, still a great golfer. I mean, he won the Grand Slam for a reason. So.
Yeah, it's maybe he does go off in the subset being happy with all he's accomplished, but I'm sure there's going to be some point where he's like, you know what, I want to do more and I want to be greater. And there's a few other hills for him to conquer.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, he's been one of the top golfers in the world for as long as I can remember.
I'm just excited to hear who you're going to crown as this week's local legend.
Oh, I suppose it's that time, huh? Well, this week's local legend, out of St. Cloud, Minnesota. The name, and St. Cloud Cathedral High School alumni, University of Minnesota alumni, Nate Schmidt. And for those of you who are wondering who Nate Schmidt is, well, considering he went to Cathedral High School in the University of Minnesota, you're probably guessing, you're probably thinking hockey player. Well, yeah, he's a hockey player, and he's a pretty damn good one. Recently, he currently playing for the Florida Panthers, who are they're in the Stanley Cup right now, aren't they?
Yeah, in the Stanley Cup Finals, and he is having one whale of a Stanley Cup final.
Yeah, for a 33-year-old, who many people are kind of saying, from what I heard, is that a lot of people were thinking, man, he's just kind of a role player pickup for the Panthers, but he might be the reason they go ahead and freaking win the Stanley Cup Finals here.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't go that far, but he has definitely been a plus role player for them. He currently has 5 assists in this playoffs, which is 13th all time for a defenseman, which is pretty good. And considering when you look at some of the names ahead of him on that list, names like Paul Coffey, Larry Murphy, and some of those guys had 6, 7 game series to do that. Nate Schmidt's only done it in 5 games so far, and he has game a chance in game 6 to clinch it in front of his home fans and rob Edmonton of a cup and rob a Canadian team, continue Canada's streak of not bringing home a Stanley Cup that has started in 1993.
Ooh, that is very interesting that you bring that up. So I personally did not know that. So,
Well, at
you
least Canadians don't care that much about hockey.
right.
I just find it so interesting. Minnesota, the North Stars were still in Minnesota. That was their last season, that 92-93 season. And I
Wow.
found another interesting stat looking up. So the June 9th, 1993, Montreal Canadiens win the last Canadian Stanley Cup. Also on that day, Jurassic Park does their like theater premiere, so it's for all the big wigs and stuff. They do that. 2 days later, it goes live in theaters, and the rest is history. So Canada has won 0 cups when you could go see Jurassic Park in theaters. So and they're very much long overdue. And it's this has been a heck of a hockey series. You've had a few overtime games. You've had one period in out of 18 now go scoreless. So it's if you like hockey, you're gonna love this series. And Nate Schmidt is a great pick for your local legend this week.
Mhm. Yeah, hockey, as much as I talk crap about hockey players, hockey really is a fun sport to watch. For someone that's not, a big hockey fan like myself, when you watch it on TV, you go watch it in person, it's a lot of fun to watch, and there's a lot of things going on. I mean, you don't really appreciate how good of an athletes those guys are until, you're watching them in person, and skating's tough on its own, but I mean, the way those guys make it look is impressive. And in school, of course, you and I didn't play hockey in high school or anything like that, but we're from the state of hockey. We're currently live in the state of hockey, and that's pretty cool. I graduated high school with Eric Polkamp, who's currently, uh, I believe he was a first, second round pick, the latest NHL draft. So I currently play at the University of Denver, or sorry, what was that'd be third round, I guess, when they were 32nd overall. So, or third or fourth round, but dude's a stud. So,
No, Minnesota produces a lot of hockey talent, and you can watch a lot of hockey games, and you'll find at least one player that was born in Minnesota, a key contributor. And they just provide such a great atmosphere too because they're so selfless. They are your true athletes. And I think and it's just even better when it comes to playoff hockey. John Boyce, he's a pretty good YouTuber. This is one of my favorite quotes of his. Why watch overtime playoff hockey when you can simply snort cocaine and ride a motorcycle out of a helicopter? And I and I think you would get less adrenaline riding doing the cocaine helicopter spot than you do watching a playoff hockey game, especially when your team is in it. And I was pretty casual hockey fan, especially for the Wild, and I was very much invested in that.
Yeah.
And
Uh, yeah, the NHL made a great, it's not to credit professional sports organizations, but this year the NHL did, instead of, a traditional All-Star game with, what was the cup called this year?
the Four Nations face off that
Yeah, that was, I think that got hockey fans from everywhere, or sports fans from everywhere fired up for hockey. I've never, in that championship game, it started, for the USA and Canada, the pool play game, the way the USA came out and started just freaking fighting guys, that kind of that got me intrigued. And, I never got so invested in freaking hockey games. That was a straight genius move by the NHL. I think they got everybody fired up about hockey. And it was fun to freaking watch.
Yeah, the instigator of that fight, Matthew Tkachuk, currently leading this Panthers team, hopefully to their second straight Stanley Cup. And yeah, no, it was the sporting event at the
Oh,
time.
it 100% was. Like for me, when the first USA Canada game went on, I was actually up at Lake of the Woods. I'm sitting right across the Rainy River from Canada. I was actually sitting at the bar with a couple Canadians, and we were
Hey,
throwing some brewskis back, and watching those guys get up and get mad, and I mean, you gotta love it. I mean, it was perfect.
no, for sure. And like that's what sports are all about, especially with the our friendly neighbors up north.
Mhm. I mean, I couldn't have been in a better spot at the time, being at Lake of the Woods with Canadians. I mean, it was just perfect.
No, absolutely.
But, well, you got anything else to add, throughout our entire episode? I thought this was a lot happened, this past week, and I'm assuming, moving forward, we're gonna have a lot to add, in a lot of these categories as well. I'm not sure, what PJ has got going on coming up here. Hopefully next week we'll be talking about the Florida Panthers Stanley Cup champions.
I mean, or we could see probably the greatest player of our generation, Connor McDavid, finally raise his cup. I
Mhm.
mean, I'm pretty neutral about it either way. I think it would be fun, and I don't know, I think as a casual observer, I think I'm just looking for some good hockey, and I'm glad this series provides it. And hopefully we're talking about 7 games of great hockey.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, and I'm also hoping we're continuing to talk about a great College World Series down in Omaha right now. It's already been a blast. It's just going to be even more of a blast. And I mean, I'm not sure when the championship game is here. Oh, that'll be next week here, so that'll it's starting to come down to it here. I mean, this is getting to be we're gonna have some good podcasts. We're gonna have some good episodes coming up here for you as we get more involved in the football season. We'll maybe we'll do a little film analysis here, uh, about Gophers or Vikings or something like that. Twins, big big couple series here coming up, so well, stay tuned for that. And man, you got anything else to add here?
I'm excited for the amount of content we're going to be coming up, the high quality content we're going to be pushing out here in the next couple months, couple weeks. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, same. All righty, ladies and gentlemen, it has been a pleasure. Please stay safe out there. We had 3 touchdowns, more than the Iowa Hawkeyes scored in many games last year. And oh, tornadoes, I meant. Uh, sorry for those confused. But ladies and gentlemen, have a blessed night, and we will see you guys next time. Thank you.